Hi, how are you? Roz here. It's good to be with you guys. Welcome to our first Friday. This is our MProcure program. We created this program last year to really talk about the opportunity of having supplier diversity be a priority in cannabis. And I'm happy to be with you today. I'm literally going to be here alone because I'm going to speak to you from my desk talking about, our successes last year with our MProcure program, what things we want to focus on for 2022, what things we can learn from 2021. Just really want to have a really open dialogue and share some clips with you as well. So please make sure you share right now. Tell people about that we're on right now. We're talking about supplier diversity in cannabis. And if you guys don't realize that we are in a multi-billion-dollar industry, that you do not have to touch plant, meaning you don't have to be an operator as a cultivator or a processor in order to have an opportunity and create generational wealth for yourself in this industry. And so I want to start off and share some conversation around this and to really get you guys in the mood of what we're talking about today. So just hang out with me today. It's going to be a great day. I'm going to have a great information to share with you guys. So hold on. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to open up this way. 1 second.
For this industry to be diverse. But in order for us to have a really diverse industry across the board, we also have to have people who are involved in large scale operations and small businesses. All businesses have to be diverse in their staffing and so on. And then we have to go even further and say, okay, well, what about those people who are minority business owners and they have products, they have services, and this industry has a need for many products and services from a supplier standpoint. How do we also connect those businesses so that when we step back 20 years from now, we're not just talking about a diverse industry because we have minorities who have ownership in cannabis, dispensaries and grows, but we're also talking about diversity in ancillary businesses for supplier diversity, and we're also talking about staffing as well. So this whole idea of MProcure in this program came to be because from the top down, we wanted to make sure that we are doing the work necessary to connect the dots for people. We had lots of conversations, and Roz just joined us, and she can, echo this. We were hearing, we get to talk to a lot of, cannabis companies and owners of cannabis companies, and they were struggling to find ways to connect with minority businesses. We have supplier contract opportunities, but we don't know how to connect with those minority businesses. And then on the flip side, as a membership, organization, we have members and businesses, minority businesses, who are saying, hey, I can't get my foot in the door with these, cannabis companies. And so that's when we began to say, okay, how can we be that bridge in between these two, groups, if you will, and start to make sure that we can really infuse supplier diversity across this industry. And Roz, I don't know if you want to echo anything, but we're just talking about, how, MProcure kind of the early stages of how it came to be and why we, as an organization, elevated this to something like a national program.
So you guys, we just got through kind of hearing a little bit about.
Yeah, you're muted.
So we just got through hearing a little bit about the whole entire, what is MProcure? Why is it important? And one of the things that Eric brought up that's really important is that we were trying to create a bridge. One, creating a conversation around supplier diversity, but also I know there has to be people out there right now. And if you're out there, I want you to say something that you feel like it's challenging to be able to present yourself to these cannabis companies. It's challenging to be able to say, hey, here I am. Here's what I have to offer. Will you give me a fair shot? Will you listen to me? And so we were thinking, with being able to establish MProcure, it would give us the opportunity to be able to create a platform that people can, literally be able to go there, put information in about their business. And we basically do this matchmaking, right? This opportunity of matching businesses together. So that was the whole premise behind it. And I think that's one of the really great things when we talk about where Eric is emphasizing the work of the program and what's important to us. I think it's so important that, you know, those pieces that he brought out in that conversation is just key. So what I'm going to do right now is I want to show you guys MProcure. I want to show you the website. So hang out with me. Hold on. So this is MProcure. All right. So the first time you go on there, as you can see, here's our website, MProcure.org. So the first thing it says, are you in VinMate? VinMate is our proprietary platform that we built. It's a database platform. It's actually extrapolating data so that we can then go back and sort through it and be able to then start making the connections. It says vendor contracting is a multi-million-dollar opportunity that the cannabis industry must take part in, and your business could be growing because of it. Are you registered in our vendor database, VinMate? Make sure you register before your year end. Next year is full of opportunity. So if you are a business, you click here, and it literally takes you through. It takes you to a page where you register here. And I think I just had my. Oh man, my mouse just went out on me. Hold on, guys. I don't know what's going on with my mouse here. Technical difficulties, but we'll get through it. Oh man. Okay, here we go, guys. I think we are. Oh man. Hang out. Don't go anywhere. I got a mouse issue going on. Oh man. Well, you know, guys, sometimes you have technical difficulties. Let me tell you what's happening on my end. I can see the screen. I can't see you. And I can't go because my mouse is giving me problems. So I'm going to kind of freelance this and walk us through this, but I apologize for the disruption in our program. Let's see if we can get it back here. Oh my God. I think we can't. Okay, guys, I'm back. Hold on. Hold on. All right, guys, I'm back. Oh, man, that was tough. I apologize about that. Hey, Carmen, thank you guys so much. Carmen and Rich, thank you guys so much. So listen, let's go back to what we were talking about. We were talking about MProcure. And so this is the website. And again, it just talks about what the platform is for. Our program partner was Curaleaf that helped us to establish the resources to be able to put this on, and our program director Melissa West. So again, as you can see, VinMate is where you want to go. That's where you want to go to be able to get your business registered. So when you go find out more, and if you go down and it says register now, and it takes you through a set of questions. And once you answer these questions, you are now in the actual database. Let me just make sure you guys can see this. Hold on. Here we go. So as you can see, this is where, let me take you back a little bit here. So this is the website, our website, MProcure.org. Tells you a little bit about it, a little bit about the organization. And then also that's Melissa West, our program director. And then you go to MProcure VinMate. Do you want to do business with cannabis companies? Create your VinMate profile and gain visibility to cannabis procurement officers as they search MProcure for qualified and contract-ready suppliers. So you open here, and literally you go down and register now. There's no cost for this. It's something that we make sure that we have it free for organizations and businesses. We are definitely going to be very specific, and we're deliberately looking for social equity, minority-owned, disproportionately impacted businesses. We want you to be a part of this. We want you to be inside of our network so that we can help build those bridges. So there's a conversation that I want to share with you guys that was had earlier when we do MProcure first Fridays, every first Friday of the month. So there was one in particular that popped up, and I want to share this conversation with you. Hang out with me.
Melissa, and I'm pleased to be on the panel with such esteemed gentlemen as both the Johns here. My two words are Black excellence, right? My main purpose in life is to see that the Black community is represented properly and receives everything that it's supposed to have in the state of California and across this nation. John is absolutely right when he said that, Black people have been the backbone of this country from the time that they first brought us here. The problem is we're not recognized for all the things that we've done. And we're not given the same opportunity as everyone else that has benefited from the things that we've done. My main purpose is to make sure that we have a seat at the table and a voice so that people know who we are, what we've accomplished, but also that we get our just dues when it comes time to receive those benefits from everything that we've done.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Sounds like Reverend Lombard to me.
I love it. I love it. So are you a PK? Or are you also a reverend? Is that what that is?
I'm neither one.
Neither one? Okay.
I am a spirit being, man of God, and I trust and believe in faith. And, I know what my calling is, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I accomplish that. That's my purpose for being on this earth.
I love it. I love it. I was about to be in solidarity because I'm a PK. That's why I asked. All right. So we're going to dive in, actually segue from one thing you mentioned, Edwin, if it's okay. You mentioned making sure we get our just due. And so you'll see me looking to my right. I have not only our Q&A panel, but my questions up on the screen. In reference to getting our just due, what do you think is what's going to be significant to make sure that we define that? What is our just due? How do we define that? What does that look like? How do you make sure that our intent doesn't get railroaded and get off track? And that's a question for you and then the rest of the panel.
Sure, yeah.
You know, when you say what is our just due, the first thing is, access, right? Leveling the playing field. Because in many areas, Black businesses don't have the same access as everyone else does. There's barriers that keep us from being able to have access to capital when we go to a bank to get a loan. Some of the hoops and some of the things that you have to jump through in order just to get a meeting with the bank president is it's crazy. It makes no sense. Our money spends just as well as everyone else's. The other thing is, I think it's time that we in the Black community start spending our money in the Black community, and that the businesses in our community should reflect us. When you walk into the retail outlets, most of them, the people behind the counter, don't look like us. They don't come from our communities, and when they take the money that they make from our communities, they take it somewhere else. So those are key things. The other thing is, if we had Black-owned businesses that were thriving in our Black communities, after schools, when students get out of school and they're getting out at 2 in the afternoon, and their parents aren't getting home till 7 or 8 at night, they can be working some part-time jobs. Number one, bringing in some income so that they can learn what it means to be responsible, but also learning entrepreneurship and what it means to run and own a business. And it gets them off the street so that they're not running around getting involved in things they're not supposed to get involved in. So those are key issues for me is, we need to take control of our own community and our own destiny. And in order to do that, we just simply need the same access that everyone else has.
Thank you for that. So access, I like that, access. John B.
Yeah.
Same question as it relates to making sure we get our just due. What does that look like? What would be the boundaries or the guidelines you would put in place to make sure that what we intend to happen actually happens?
Well, part of our problem is that we haven't done our homework. And so if you don't do your homework, then you don't have a sense of where we have been. And so, that's an important piece. And so I'll break that question down into 3 segments. First, one, we have to have some hindsight relative to our involvement, our history in America, in this country. Secondly, as a part of that, we have to have some insight to our current situation. What does it mean now? What did we learn from our past? And then thirdly, we have to have some foresight relative to what we know about what we know, and then how we use that information to be able to make some positive adjustments, some positive movement, or some positive move forward as we move on down the road. Ed talked about access. I think that there are 2 additional pieces to the access. Well, part of access is a recognition of past indiscretions, past abuses. Once you can deal with the recognition and you get everybody under that tent and that are willing to say Black lives and Black minds matter, and so does a Black future, then we talk about access, and then where are those access points? Secondarily, then from access, we have to then be able to build capacity. Once you understand what the access points are, then you develop relationships. Those relationships allow you to build capacity. And then thirdly, and probably the most important, this can't be a one-up. It has to be developing a sustainable relationship that goes over a period of time, and not just when white folks are scared, or when young Black people are in the street, or when somebody drops the mic, to be able to bring us to a recognition that we're all in this together. And we need to spend, I talk Black equity, I'm a Black man, but once we all sit down, if everybody is willing to have an authentic conversation, then it's really not about the Black race, the white race, the red race, it's about the human race and how we move forward as a vanguard of people who are trying to do the right thing. Until we get to that point, it's important for our just due, our recognition to take place, us to feel good about who we are, us to lift up our women and our kids and our business people and our community in such a way that we can tell folks this is who we are. Because I'm clear about who I am, I'm clear about why I'm here, I'm clear about what I'm going to do, and now is the time that I'm going to do it.
So I paused on that one because that was our good friend John Bailey with the Black Cannabis Equity Initiative, and this is from July 2021. So again, I'm giving you guys a little flavor of some of the program that we did and some of the initiatives and conversation that we had last year with MProcure. And it's really critical when you talk about and you listen to John, because access is really extremely important. And so what I want you guys in 2022, as you're looking at where's my access point into this industry, I want you to think about vendor contracting. I want you to think about things like everything from packaging, everything from point of sale displays, HVAC. If you don't have someone that does HVAC, but if you know of someone that's in your community that does HVAC, let's get them let's get them involved with MProcure. Let's have them join the network, because really, it really takes a village for us to be able to uplift. And if we start circulating dollars around, and if we start connecting people to the industry that have an opportunity to go in and be able to get contracts with the industry, I think we lean more towards being able to say, yes, I will go and hire someone from my community. I will go and subcontract with someone from my community. So the breadth and depth of the amount of different services that the industry needs is huge, right? It's huge. Transportation, marketing, education. If you're in a medical state and you have education as your background, you have clinical support as your background, a physician, a nurse, or what have you, do you understand how you could literally put together a program, take it to one of the dispensaries, take it to one of the cultivators, the processors in the state, and say, hi, I would like to deliver this educational program in my state where you provide the medicine, but I want to have you guys be a part of this program. I would like for you to either advertise with me or contract with me to provide this program within the framework of your business. People do what people do. Cannabis companies make cannabis, they cultivate, they make products, but there's a big gap when it comes to education. And so when you're having states like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida, Missouri, let me think of another medical state, Oklahoma. These are all medical states where they are trying to build up the number of patients that are coming through their doors. So I just wanted to pick out that one thing, but let's go back. So we talked about attorney, legal, accountant, bookkeeper, HR. So many different opportunities that you can tap into, and it doesn't have to touch the plant. We have too many business owners that come from our community that should and they deserve an opportunity to be a part of this infrastructure and a part of this economy. I'm gonna go back to the video with John, and it's gonna transition. This is John Bailey, but we have another John Harmon, who is the executive director for the African American Chamber of Commerce in New Jersey. Let's listen a little bit. Let's see what John has to say.
I like that. John H. John H. Well, how would you answer that question, as it relates to getting our just due and access and the infrastructure that even John B just talked about? What would you like to add to that?
Well, one of the challenges of being on a panel with such bright minds is they don't leave much meat on the bone, right? So I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything left to say, but I'm going to pick up where John B left off, and it's for me. It always starts with an acknowledgement. You got to level set somewhere in order to start to build a foundation to go forward. So for me, that's where we start, and I think Edwin kind of alluded to these perceptions that we're less than. And those perceptions often marginalize our existence. And therefore, the folks who have established their network, let's say, who started an enterprise with their friends, their colleagues, because one, they believe that they're the only ones that can do this or that.
Yeah. Right.
And so they built a model of success based on established goals and objectives, and they've gotten really comfortable with that, right? And so it's difficult for us to break in because the perception is, we can't do. So I just got off a conversation with I'm on the board of a bank here, and I used that example, and I said, well, if we talk about baseball, Josh Gibson hit over 900 home runs, right? And Satchel Paige broke into the major leagues in his 40s, and now they're throwing people out of sports in their 40s. So the point being is, the perception is we're less than, we can't produce the same, but the reality is, when we're part of the equation, things go to a whole nother level. So as a people, as a representative of Black people, we have, and using these two distinguished gentlemen as example, we have to represent with excellence, and push back on those adverse perceptions that marginalize our existence. Moreover, to get to the heart of the question, as Black leaders, Black people, we have to reestablish a structure of how we're going to engage and how we're going to execute our coexistence. I think John made the point, we're either all Americans or we're not. And that gets lost. So I'll close with this, with the example resources and opportunities travel on an axis. Black people too travel on an axis. They're traveling parallel, but if there's no intersection, we're not accessing where the transformation is, all right? And so I think Edwin and I, in our capacity, and John to a significant degree, we bring people to that axis of resources, opportunities, and information. That's where the transformation takes place. We have to be a part of society and all components of the society and benefit equitably in order for us to get to a place that makes sense for us.
So, taking in with John, again, John Harmon is the executive director for the African American Chamber of Commerce in New Jersey. And so if you can imagine, any type of chamber of commerce is going to be it is the catch-all for businesses, African American Chamber of Commerce, for Black-owned businesses who are entering in or wanting to do business contractually in the state of New Jersey or in the state of California or what have you. And I deliberately have them on as guests because we have so much talent and we have so many individuals that really, in companies that come from our community, that should have an opportunity to be able to pursue opportunities in the cannabis industry. And so what I need us to do, as those people that are watching right now, those folks that are, that are viewing this right now, we need to bring more people to the table. Bring yourself to the table, but bring more people to the table. Once we bring them to the table, we have to be vigilant, but we also have to be prepared, and we have to be of excellence. That was a word that John used. He said, a business of excellence. That means, are you contract ready? Do you have your LLC? Or your sole proprietorship or corporation? Is your business registered? Do you have your EIN? Do you have a website? Do you have a phone line? It doesn't have to be dedicated. It could be a 1-800 number or it could be a Google number. But do you have a way for someone to communicate, to have access to you? Do you have your business cards? Have you put yourself out there? When's the last type of conference or anything that you've attended that's in the cannabis industry? If you've never attended one, then I implore you this year, go to one, try to go to one. Go to 2 or 3 if you can, but if you can't, go to one. Be prepared and stand strong on the business that you're in and your ability to deliver a service. The things that these guys are saying is that us working and growing a business and maintaining a business and providing a service, there's nothing new to us as a community. We know how to do it. We just need a fair opportunity. So my next, I have something else I want to share with you, and hang out with me. This is a great conversation that happened. I think this was in August of last year. but so fruitful and so much good information. I want to share this with you guys.
You who have access. Awesome. They can see the screen. So let's get started. Rue Black Consulting. I like the first slide. We make things cool. So introduction.
Yeah, so I wanted to start with an introduction because whenever we engage in conversations with people on their expertise, it's always really interesting to hear a little bit about them and like what makes you an expert. You know, have you been baptized in the fire enough? Have you been hazed enough to call yourself an expert, right? And I have, in fact, I have made a gang of mistakes, many of which we will discuss today, so that you all don't have to find yourselves in those positions and instead can be smart about the usage of your resources in the cannabis space. So Rue Black Consulting is my company, and it was really born of an idea to kind of fill a space for independent music artists where I'm living here in Denver, and to offer a platform of support for creatives who do what they do, but there's not necessarily like a box to put it in or not like a really pretty packaged explanation of what you do. But when you step into the space or into any space, there's an impact that's made. And so I feel like many times throughout my life, my whole entire life has been just like moments of serendipity where I've just been prepared for the opportunity and brave enough or crazy enough to go along with it, right? And so we are here because I really believe working in cannabis and working in music have really given me some tried and true formulas that we can bring into this space that will encourage more people to bring their creative elements into the cannabis industry. So I'm not a grower, I don't own a dispensary, or I'm not an operator in that kind of way, but I'm very steeped in the industry based on my talents and my passion. And so I'm excited to talk a bit about what that looks like, and also how others can bring their passion and their energy to this space. So as Melissa mentioned earlier, I live in Denver, Colorado, originally from the East Coast, but I am very much, a West Side, Mountain Time kind of person at this point. And working in Denver in the music industry, I started writing about music. And then when Amendment 64 passed, what we found is that there were all kinds of more people coming to Denver.
We'll go a little bit further in the conversation.
As simple as lighting, Let's
go a little bit further.
Pop-up shops, experiential marketing. That's why we've got Rue here. The plant touching always is we're here to bring the rest of the people into the fold. So let's keep going. Let's go.
All right, cannabis and the supply chain. So I have to enlarge my screen a little bit because it's not as big. I'm 37, so I have to there we go. All right, now I can see it. All right, so cannabis and the supply chain. That when I first started working in cannabis, I had to understand the supply chain. Like, what exactly does that even mean, first of all? And how can my business, I come out of the music industry, like I can throw you a festival, I can produce a banger, I can get any artist you name to come and like smoke your herb, but how does this actually fit together? And I really had to understand the supply chain to figure out exactly where I could find my own inclusivity in that space. And also in understanding my role, right? Like I love politics and I love policy, but that doesn't mean that I should jump in to the cannabis industry on the policy or the political level. So really understanding how to work my way into this space was the first thing that I had to do and understand. And the second part of that is also like knowing myself, knowing my worth, and really exploring what it takes to bring my expertise to the industry. Like, especially at the time, like, did the cannabis industry need like a badass, very visible Black woman who can speak her truth and speak to the plant and speak to music and bring lots of people together? Well, of course the answer is yes, right? So, but I had to not modest, right? But I really had to figure out, like, do I even have a role in this industry besides being a consumer, like someone who smokes, right? What exactly was my best self that I could bring to the industry on an expertise level? And I think that over the years, I really kind of figured out that it does look like marketing, it does look like publicity, it does look like, the education of other folks who also have these same interests.
Yeah, and I'm glad you shared that too, because again, that authenticity in your story, that's what builds your brand, right? We always hear, tell your story, your tribe will hear your sound. So we've got right now guests on here who maybe are saying, I don't know if what I have is enough. But you know what? There's a unique sound that we all have, and you attract that person and or your tribe. And so when you think about some of these bigger, these larger cannabis companies, they don't have an inferiority complex. They know their stuff, they know what they bring to the table, and it's either show up or show out. And show up and show out or not. So I love what you're saying about this, know yourself and know your work. And I want to talk about that a little bit more, even how that feeds into your pitch and how you present yourself when you're trying to kind of make that value proposition.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So it's funny because I use this picture of myself, and it's the perfect segue from what you just said about like knowing your pitch and knowing your place. I use this photo of myself because I'm up in way past in Mendocino County in the Emerald Triangle. There's a Black farmer, Say Trees. He's like one of the only Black farmers in the Emerald Triangle. And I'm a city girl, and I did not know what to expect. And so I use this picture of myself because when we're talking about the stages of the supply chain and for creatives to understand where they fall in the supply chain and how that can be the difference between like success or failure, I use this picture of myself because I showed up like to the wheat farm, like in all Black. It was 100 degrees, it was 100 degrees. I'm like, on the phone, I don't have signal. I'm trying to get on a Zoom call, and it's just funny because I needed to see this cultivation part of it to understand the movement. But I obviously, that's not where my ancillary service is, most beneficial, except for in the kind of that ideating space. So I use this picture to bring home kind of the stages of the supply chains. So cultivation, extraction, testing, distribution, and retail. Where can your ancillary business fall within those stages? And for me, Rue Black's best work is done in what would be probably distribution and retail, right? Take what you got and you bring it to the people. Then how do you get everybody to care about it? How do you get everybody to know about it? That's where, we're best.
So guys, I'll pause for a second. Again, I want to get into the gist of this and talk about a little bit and hear from Rue, because Rue is a creative. And what that means is that she is, her business is based on creativity, working with artists, working with music, things of that nature. And it's just really important that, you have to go through your own process to understand who you are. And then once you understand who you are, the stages of the supply chain within cannabis, understanding where do you fit in. And cultivation, extraction, testing, distribution, and retail, they all have a need. There is something that is needed to support those entities throughout the whole entire ecosystem. And being able to understand where that need is, that's half the battle. So it was really interesting. I want to stop here just to kind of give a little bit of commentary. We're going to listen to Rue for a couple more minutes, and then we're going to, I see you guys are making I see there's some comments and there's some questions. So we want to address some of that stuff before we wrap up for today.
Suited, but being able to see all aspects of it, I think really gave me the great ideas for how we're going to launch that brand.
Yeah, I think that's really good. This is a really good photo. I remember when I took a tour, one of our M chapter members in Chicago, Illinois, has an indoor growing site for CBD right now. And you don't think about the technology. There's technology that talks about that controls the nutrients and the water level. It's literally science lab all over again, right? And so again, there's so many elements to the supply chain. So for those of you who are listening, like Bruce said, figure out which stages of the supply chain are aligned with your business and just become an expert in it. So this is a really good photo. I love it. I love it.
I was so dirty. I showed up. I was like, wow, I obviously I've never been on a farm. I mean,
I love it. And before we forget, I'll get the name of the farm. He's the only Black farmer in that area. And this is August is Black Business Month as well. So we'll be highlighting some businesses. I want to make sure I get his name as well.
Yes, 100%.
Awesome. Let's talk about it.
I want to pause on this, right? Because the reason why, one, you have to take yourself seriously. If you're creative, there's a certain level of like perception that you're already going to come to when it comes to professional industries, but specifically one that like maybe you aren't already in, right? If you're kind of a wacky, funny, you know, quirky creative and you're an art teacher or you work at the library, that's completely fine. But if you're coming into some of these like, you know, well-heeled, they use their inside voices kind of industries, the first thing as creatives that we have to almost like just explain to them that it's not showtime at the Apollo, right? Like we have to be really taken seriously. We have to like, you know, button up and all of that. But if you create a brand around yourself wherein your reputation kind of precedes you, you can come in just as you are, and you can use themes and metaphors and, you know, conversations that maybe other people can't do. So I am one of those people who kind of walk that line, and that's why I use this picture of course, Ronnie from the Players Club, which is a cult classic amongst, you know, people who would be watching my stuff would be like, oh, that's Ronnie, right? So in the movie, there's this quote where they say you have to use what you got to get what you want. And it really reminded me of like when I was really trying to find my way in connecting with clients and working in the cannabis industry. I was like, well, I could like learn other tricks, but I really just want to bring what I already do into this industry and like find the people who need that, you know?
Right.
Find the people who need marketing, find the people who need publicity, find the people who need someone who can, you know, evangelize on their behalf.
Absolutely. I love that. Talk about this be as good as you say you are.
Yes. Okay. So being as good as you say you are is like, first of all, if you don't think you're good, then that you've already failed the, you know, the class, right? So I think confidence is very important. Showing up as someone who is believable and who is astute and who's accurate and who knows what they're talking about, someone who's done the reading, someone who's playing to their strengths, etc., is very important. But if you come in like with this certain mentality, then you have to be able to live up to that, you know? So I can't, and I use myself as an example because we all have to speak for ourselves, but I have to be as good as I say I am when I'm telling a brand that I'm gonna help them go from point A.
So guys, so critical, again, looking at this, using what you got to get what you want. Play to your strength, be as good as you say you're going to be, do the reading, do the work, do your homework. You have to be so educated on, if you have a service that you think can be applicable to the industry, do your homework, look at the trends, make sure your pricing is in line with other folks pricing wise. And the good thing about, you know, Google nowadays, there is no reason why you can't Google and to find what you're looking for. So again, it was just some really key points from Rue that I thought was just applicable to you guys as we're talking about how do you prepare for 2022. This is your year. Plant your seeds. This is seed planting time. 2022 is when you plant your seed. Plant your seeds. Plant your seeds. The harvest is in 2023. It's in my spirit. Don't ask me why, but I've been living this in my brain since January. Plant your seeds, Roz. Plant your seed. Maybe your planting of your seed is when you go back and you register with MProcure. If you have a business idea, you're not quite sure about it yet, it's okay. You have time now to really fine tune who you are and what you want to do, and then go after your dream. Go after that client. One client turns to 2 clients. 2 clients turn into 4 clients. And before you know it, you've gotten your door of opportunity has opened very wide, and you're able to navigate through it. I want to hear 2 more minutes of Rue, and then I want to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about what you need to be doing as we go into 2022, or we're already here, but as we start going in activities, things to focus on.
To point B, or that I'm an accelerator and I can make their business work fast. You have to be prepared to evaluate everything that you've done, see how it has worked out, and then be ready to take those working strategies and move them forward and kind of recycle your lessons or your mistakes into other energy that can be used later on down the line.
Yeah, that's really good. I have a question, but I'll hold it for later. But you made me think about packaging. I'll come back to it. I'll come back to it. So let's talk about the strategy and the planning. So when you go from an idea to a movement, talk a little bit about your process and the creatives process in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I think about creating something, I like to start as though it's already done. I like to start as though whatever your dream is, because I have a political background, everything that I learned how to do always has like some like deadline, like election day, right? You're always racing towards election day.
Right.
And so whenever I'm visioning something, I'm like, okay, it's the day of, it's all the things we had to do has already happened, and it's just literally me sitting here with my like pen and paper. But in my mind, I've already gone to the thing. So planning the strategy and visualizing that you are at your place of success or your goal, and then working backwards from that really opens my mind to all the possibilities that it takes to get to my final goal. The reason why that what to do planning strategy vision piece is so important is because if you think it in the forward fashion, oftentimes limitations and obstacles in our mind will stop us from even getting to that point. So if you're like, oh, I want to, I want to work with Curely, and then you're like, well, I don't know what's the first step to get there? I don't know anyone. What's the next? But if you visualize, I am working with Curely, this is the kind of work that I'm doing with Curely, this is where I fall in the supply chain. When you work yourself backwards, the resources sort of show themselves,
That's really good.
And that kind of planning strategy, I think, is so important for the vision.
That's really good. I'm going to drop in the chat, you all. So our website, MProcure.org. So for those of you all.
So again, guys, if you look at this screen, it's from idea to a movement. What to do? What's your planning, your strategy? But Ruth said something that was so critical. You visualize yourself already doing what you said that you're going to do. And again, as you're planting your seeds for 2022, visualize the harvest for 2023. How many businesses do you want to be contracted with? How many businesses in the space do you want to be working with? Who do you want to be connected with? Visualize where you want to be. What are you looking to do? What does it mean to you in regards to your business growth and the opportunities that you want to pursue? And once you visualize that stuff and you actually put like actual, you fine tune exactly, you ask yourself questions, you fine tune those answers, it makes your journey towards getting to that point so much easier and so much more tangible. And you see it, you could feel it, you could touch it. I mean, it just makes sense, right? So this is where I need you guys to be as you're planning for 2022, as you're doing the work right now, you're preparing for the harvest. I need you guys to make sure that you are working towards your common goals. Here, I got here's a couple things. Hold on, let me stop sharing my screen. All right. So I got a question here. So what are suggestions as a trustworthy go-to for testing or developing a idea or product? Good question, Jaguar. So the first and foremost, if you have an idea or product, whoever you go to, you make sure that you get an NDA signed. That is a non-disclosure agreement, a mutual one. That means that when they sign it on their side and you sign on your side, whatever information you share with them and whatever information you share back to them, and they share back to you rather, that it is now mutually agreed upon that it is confidential, right? You can have someone that you trust. It can be someone that you see out there that's already moving something along the that you like. It can be someone, it could be a mentor. Just make sure that you have that NDA in place and signed off on before you go into a conversation more in depth. It gives you some protection, right? But always when you're sharing, I wouldn't go over unless you have an attorney that's representing you. But I would always just be careful about how far you go into your sharing. But you do need to find mentors. You need to find people that you can have a conversation with, that you can bounce ideas off of. That's what we try to do here at M4MM with MProcure, giving you that support as well. And I'm super proud of, to talk about, the new things that we're going to do for 2022 to give you guys more support, to give you an opportunity to be in a safe place where you don't have to figure out, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to have everything down. You don't have to know all of the components of where you want to go. You can be free to be okay with not being sure about where you are and having someone to support you and to love on you and give you the information and resources that you need in order to be successful. So hopefully, Jaguar, that helps you out a little bit, because I think there's mentors out there right now that if you have, there's no idea or product that you're coming up with that's going to be brand new. There's some type of variation that's out there. You just need to find someone that believes in what you are trying to do, and wants to pour into you. And then just make sure that you get that NDA signed. And that goes for anybody. And if they don't want to sign an NDA, that means that you don't want to talk to them. Okay. All right. So that's that question. Let's see what else we got here. So we had absolutely Lakeisha, make the vision plain. You guys, if you got to do a vision board for yourself, make it plain. What are you trying to get accomplished? Where are you trying to plant your seeds for 2022? Because the harvest is in 2023. What I mean by that is, guys, you cannot, let me tell you something. In this industry, you're going to already be working, more than likely, most of you guys are, you're working your 9 to 5 to pay your bills. Then you have your passion, your vision of being in cannabis and being able to parlay what you're doing from your 9 to 5 over to the industry full time, but you want to get paid for it. I will tell you right now, you will literally find yourself you will have to initially work like this full-time job to pay your bills and work this other full-time job that basically is not paying for anything, but you are setting your future up. You are planting your seed. I need you guys to be so dialed in on planting your seed. That means that you're going to have to spend weekends, Saturday, Sunday, do your research, find mentors. Go on some of these Instagram pages of different organizations, different people. If you see a post that is interesting to you, read and see who's making comments. If you see someone on there that you really want to get connected to, send them a direct message. Tap into them. LinkedIn is your best friend, guys. There is no one out there, 9 times out of 10, anyone of importance that's working with one of these companies, they have a LinkedIn profile. Spend time on following the different cannabis groups. Join a different cannabis group. Be a part of those groups. Start talking to people that you see that are posting different things. Send them a direct message. If you're a member of M4MM, or even if you're not, tell them, like Roz told me, or I'm a part of MProcure, or I was listening to Roz with M4MM and she mentioned I should reach out to you. Use our name. I know we have some brand equity out here, but whatever it takes, but you gotta, in order to make your steps and plant your seeds, you have to do action. You have to be active. And so I want to encourage you guys to get active. Get active. Take what you're doing. Take it so serious. It's going to be the full-time job that doesn't pay you right now, but it has the opportunity of paying you years and years from now if you work it right, right? Work it right. Build your relationships. What relationships do you have right now? And how do you further those relationships? And what new relationships do you want to build? Tell me, what do you want to build? We got a question from Brian. Brian, did we ever think about it from the perspective of us as the buyers of the industry? Brian, I think that is a super, super important point, because in order, like if we were the buyers, then we would then say, hey, come, I need X, Y, and Z, and I'm looking to buy. The issue is the foundation of this industry. We only have 1 to 2% ownership from a business perspective in this industry. So if we're only securing 2% of the market share, you got 98% of the market share that is going elsewhere, that they have the power to buy. They are the ones that are buying. And unfortunately, if you want to do business, you're going to have to go to those people that have the power to buy, that are buying, to say, hey, I want you to buy from me. Ideally, it should be flip-flop, or it should be 50-50. Equity and being equitable are two different things. Equity is ownership, having ownership of your business. Being equitable means we have an industry, and if you cut it down the middle, we have half that goes over here, half goes over here, or some type of equitable share where it looks more like there is a balance there. Currently, right now, we as Black folks in the industry, that we do not have a balance. It is this. This is up here is not us. We're down here. And we do not, I'm sorry. Yes. So how do you do a balance? Well, you got me. Long story short is it's not equitable and it's not balanced. We have 2% of the market share where 98% is going elsewhere. We got to figure out how to balance that balance beam that get us back into a more equitable space. So hopefully that answered your question, Brian, regarding, how do we get folks to buy from us? Because once we have more ownership, then we have the power to say, here's what I need, and this is who I'm looking to do business with. Come now, the store is open. Let's see what else we have here. And then, Brian, you also made a comment about there are a few great farmers in the Emerald Triangle, FYI. We have a nursery and lab. So Brian has a nursery and lab. I haven't been in the Emerald Triangle. That's in Humboldt. And I hear that it's, it's a site to be believed. And we only have 1 or 2 Black farmers that are up there. But we have such fertile, it was the start of legalization in the state of California, where you had these farmers who were farming cannabis, and they were going to jail. And so when you talk about social equity, you have a lot of folks that are in the Humboldt, in the Emerald Triangle, that are social equity. These are people that went against the grain. They said, no, we this is our land, and we want to grow cannabis for medicine. And you had people, the DEA and folks that would come and will infiltrate their farms and basically arrest these folks for growing cannabis. So yes, sometimes the conversation about equity is not just black and white. It is more than that. It's individuals that have been most harmed, and these individuals that were in Humboldt were harmed as well. So these are things that we got to think about and talk about together. I want to show you guys, as we start to wrap up, one thing that's really important as we move forward. All right. So we got here. So we talked about the MProcure website, right? Everybody, you got it down. I should see over the next 30 days, I need you to share this. I need you to go, if you have a friend group, whatever the case may be, share. Talk about MProcure, how supplier diversity is a priority with M4MM. And if you have someone that is ready to do business in cannabis, you click on VinMate, and you have the ability to scroll down and get registered. It's free. It doesn't cost a thing. What we want to do is, if we have these folks that are getting registered, we're going to do a separate invite-only conversation with you guys as suppliers, subcontractors, and talk about how we can support you more. We want to learn and we want to be able to hear from you as to things that we can be doing to give you more support. If you have a company that you've been trying to reach out to and have not had any luck, I want you to bring it to me. I want you to talk to us, tell us exactly what you've been trying to do, where you're finding your areas of deficiency or your gap. Let us brainstorm together. You need us to be that bridge for you guys. You need us to support you guys. And that's what we want to do as an organization. This is why we have MProcure. So if you guys can, if you're not registered, get registered. If you know of businesses who are looking to contract, please, let's get them registered as well. The thing about this is that if we have, let's say, for example, we have 50 people. We have more than 50, but we have 50 people that are part of VinMate. And then we have our own invite only. And these, 40 of the people come and we sit there and we talk amongst each other about what we're trying to do, where we've had successes, where you've planted seeds, and what you're waiting to come and to be harvested. Then if you share that with us, I think we as a group, as the M4MM support, myself, Eric Range, we have Lakeisha Camise that's a part of the organization. I think we can sit down with you and help you to identify and figure out what's your entry point, and helping you to either make a phone call for you, either we can send an email on your behalf. There might be some tips and tricks. I would love to see your deck. Show me your deck. Let me see what your deck is looking like. Let's see. I'll try my best to bring up a deck for you guys so you can see. But if you don't have a strong deck that shows who you are and is well put together, let us maybe give you resources to help you to figure that out, what your deck should look like. So these are the type of things that we want to make sure that we are connected with you on and that we're giving you support on. So if that sounds good, I think that's something that we should shoot for. And start having these invite only, based upon if you're in MProcure, you see it right here. If you're in VinMate, we implore you to get inside VinMate, tell us who you are, Tell us what you're doing. Tell us where you're trying to go. And let's see how we can figure out how we can get you there. So, all right, great. I see Stanley on. Yep. And there you go. Find your passion and let it fuel your business, guys. This is it. I'm going to repeat again. 2022, plant your seed. Plant your seed. 2023 is all about the harvest. If you guys hear me, you support me, I need you to give me a hand clap. I see Raquel, our director, our state director of in Hawaii. She's on with us. Carmen, you're always supporting. We appreciate you. Brian Graves, thank you so much. Toya, so happy to see you and so happy to have you a part of the conversation. You guys, I need you to be intentional. I know this was all about me. I know I'm talking a lot today and I don't mean to, but I will tell you, it's from the heart. You guys can do it. Do not give up. Don't give in. You can do it. You really can. This is our opportunity to. We need to pursue it, but I need you, as you're pursuing, make sure if you find someone, if someone connects with you, and if they're looking for some support, pay it forward. If you get support, just pay it forward. Make sure you support the next person. Create an opportunity for the next person. I'm excited about what 2022 is going to bring to us. We have some new announcements that we'll share with you in April. Every Friday, the first Friday of the month, you can catch us here with MProcure, first Friday. I love you guys. I thank you guys so much. Make sure that you love on someone this weekend. Make sure you do something special this weekend. Make sure that you plant seeds this weekend. Work on your business. Work on your business plan. Work on whatever you got going on. Work on it. I need you to work on it this weekend. Make it a commitment. I love you guys. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk soon.